Welcome, everybody, to the Here We Go podcast, conversations about faith, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. My name is Alan Hanna, and my man?
I'm Spencer Sweeting.
Here we go.
Here we go.
It's great we got an awesome episode today.
I'm really excited.
Chevalier, the chaplain of the six-time champion Pittsburgh Steelers. I see you wore your Green Bay hat.
Yeah, they're not the seven-time Pittsburgh Steelers NFL champions because of the Green Bay Packers.
You know, you are living in the city of Pittsburgh. You could at least you didn't wear your cheese head today.
I didn't wear my cheese head. I used to own a cheese head, but my dogs got a hold of it and thought it was a chew toy. So, but I did bring as a prop. This is just for those on video, but I did bring my my ownership certificate.
My goodness,
for the Green Bay Packers. Because I am a part owner of the Green Bay Packers.
You own one share.
I own one share. But how many shares of the Steelers do you own?
I own
no shares.
Zero. And yes,
no shares.
The Rooney family are keeping those, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I am really thankful that nobody in Pittsburgh owns any shares.
That's true.
That would be crazy, as nuts as our... Would it be appropriate? I'm putting you on the spot. You have to tell the story because, some people are listening to this and they're like, "What do you mean, Spencer Sweeting owns a share? He's a partial owner of the Packers." You have to explain that.
Yeah, so I think it came up a little bit last episode, but the Green Bay Packers are the only major sports franchise that is publicly owned.
Yes.
It's the reason why they're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is like this. It's like a small. It feels like a Western PA small town that has a massive NFL stadium in the middle of it. I made the pilgrimage out as a wedding gift. A friend of mine, Tim Shaw, was drafted to the Carolina Panthers, and he got us tickets as a wedding gift to go when the Panthers played in Lambeau. And you literally drive into this small town, and people are just parking in people's yards. It's everywhere as a tailgate, and then an NFL franchise is there. And it stays there because it's publicly owned. So the shares aren't actually valuable the way that an investment in another company would be.
Beth got it for you, right?
Beth got it for me for Christmas one year. I got the text while I was actually at a life conference planning meeting in Orlando, Florida, in a dinner with 40 people, and I screamed like one of my daughters when she sent me the photo that she had waited in line online, got a share, sent it to me, and I was because I get to say
you're a partial owner.
That I own my favorite NFL team. It's a cool thing.
That is really cool. I can't believe you don't have it framed.
I don't have it framed.
I would have it. That would be in my office.
I don't even have my degrees framed. I just
No. I would. That is really cool. Today, this conversation with Kent, we hit a ton, and certainly we poked fun and talked, and we tried to get some insider information about the Steelers, and Kent's been a friend for a long time, but then we had just really great conversation. Football is almost religion in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And, you and I are both major sports fans, not just football. And so, we play fantasy football. But even as believers, what I really loved about this conversation is that how there's a fine line and the tension where you can cross that line and all of a sudden we're giving praise and worship to players. We talked about criticism and just trying to imagine what it's like being someone who's just elevated so much on a platform.
Yeah, and I think that, man, the conversation was really encouraging to me because I love the culture that I'm learning about with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kent has a lot to do with this. Coach Tomlin has a lot to do with this. But the way in which they are constantly trying to remind these guys who are on a massive platform, get a ton of celebrity, get a ton of attention, have people, for all intents and purposes, worshiping them because of the jersey they wear and the talents they have. And the way that they're trying to set a culture of humility. I think the phrase that Kent uses in this conversation is athletic arrogance with deep humility or something like that. And just the idea
that was a Tomlin line.
Tomlin says this often, and Ken brought it up. But the idea of like, go play your game, go do what you were gifted to do.
Yeah.
Like, don't shy away from that, but like carry yourself with some real humility and character. And I think that's a tension that's not just for athletes; it's for all of us.
Yeah, and like, you and I pastor at ACAC, and long before I got here, like ACAC being in the city in Northside, and of course close to the stadium where the Pirates and Steelers play, like we have had and do have current and retired players attend church. And I remember, like, this is recent, just in my time here in the last couple years. I won't name names, but like we had a congregant that got upset because she couldn't understand why a particular athlete wouldn't sign something for her kids when at church. And we try really hard. My predecessor, Pastor Rock, regularly from the platform would say, hey, there may be an athlete, there may be a politician or a famous person or something like that attends church here. This is a place of worship. There's only one famous person here. That's Jesus. We want this to be a safe place for everybody. And so, like, we've experienced that, the craziness, the line that is crossed, moving from being a fan to just a fanatic.
And I think even just from a ministry leadership standpoint, serving at ACAC is a really big deal. It's a much smaller, it's not the global kind of celebrity of like an NFL franchise, but within the Christian Missionary Alliance, like ACAC is kind of legendary as a church. I felt it when you asked me to come on board. It was like, man, Edie Whiteside, Rock Dillerman, Alan Hanna. You have like these Hall of Fame pastors after Hall of Fame pastor. You guys are like the Green Bay Packers.
I'll be lucky
churches.
to make the Ring of Honor at ACAC. And that's only because there's only 8 pastors.
Yeah, but I just like I think that when we go to council and our staff is like running into people and people are saying to them, "Oh, you're at ACAC?" Like just almost with like a reverence of like what this church has meant for not only Pittsburgh but for the Alliance as a movement, what it's represented as a church that follows Jesus in diverse community in a major urban center. Like there's something about that brings notoriety and attention that you have to wrestle with. And what do you do with that extra attention? What do you do with that kind of extra bit of fame? I love the idea of just kind of I think Kent said like kind of washing the worship off of you, like any of the attention that we get, any of the kind of notoriety that we might get because of the platform that we're privileged to be on. We have to we have to deal with that honestly, so that we're not being formed by the attention of other people, but we're being formed by the attention we give Jesus.
Yeah, he hit some buttons too. So like if you're listening or watching this and you think this is all about sports, a lot of it is, but we had some great conversation too, just about like church culture and like what makes, I made the comment about great Bible teachers and he called me on the carpet. I'm like, thanks, man. But, just platform.
I loved that moment.
That's what friends can do.
I appreciate that moment.
And, but just, what does that look like in the church world? How do we guard our heart from that? Is it good? Is it bad? Worship concerts and all of that. We had some of those conversations. It was really good today. Funny story. Like, Kent asked me, like, I don't know when it was a few years ago, to do a chapel service for the players, and it's normally on Saturday night if they're playing on Sunday. And I thought it was unusual, and I'm really glad he prepped me. He was like, "Hey, when you go in, the players are going to look like they're mad at you." He goes, "They're not." He goes, "They're just deeply intense about everything they do." And like, sure enough, I'm like, I'm in there and I'm like looking at these guys and guys I watch on TV, so I'm feeling a bit sheepish as well. And they look like they were straight mad, but they're just intense, like taking notes and everything. And then I will confess, I started out 0-3. Like, I thought at one point Kent was going to, like, call and say, hey, we would love you to do a chapel service, but if you would do it for the visiting team, because every time you do the chapel service,
that's why they look mad at you.
We lose. But since I'm not taking any credit, but anyway.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation today.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was really encouraged by, and I hope people pay attention to in this conversation, is just like Kent's desire. I mean, he's deeply passionate. You can sense it in the room as we're having this conversation. Like he wants it to be all about Jesus.
Yeah.
And he keeps bringing attention to, like, how do we get people to just raise them to the standard of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love his humility. I love his faithfulness and what he does. And so I came away from this conversation just deeply encouraged.
Right. Hey, I hope everybody enjoys this interview with Kent Chevalier, the chaplain of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me encourage you, too. Once you listen to this and you like it, share it with somebody. Help us get the word out about the Here We Go podcast. You can find it on all your find it on YouTube and all your other podcasts, whether you're a Apple Music,
Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Yeah, I'm old, so, Anyway, enjoy the interview, Kent Chevalier. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers.
That's
Here
awesome.
we go. We did
go
not
again.
name the podcast Here We Go because of that song, though it is a nod to it. But Kent Chevalier, chaplain of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. It's
Yes.
great. It's great to have you here with us.
Here we go.
You're the first guest. Like, I feel like it's appropriate. The very first guest in episode 2 of Here We Go is none other than Kent Chevalier.
Dude, when you texted me, I was so excited that you guys are doing this. I'm not joking. Like, I'm excited to see what this is going to become.
That's
And
awesome.
the fact that Here We Go is the title of it, I'm like, I'm loving this. Except,
I know.
look at this.
I know.
Not you, but like, look at this.
Listen,
Yeah.
I had to represent the most historic franchise in the National Football League.
For those that are
They
listening.
go back to those championships that didn't count.
Exactly. They're not. For those that are listening, Spencer Sweeting is wearing a Green Bay Packer
We're
hat.
not even going to let them get it out, bro.
I know.
Listen, can we just talk about the last time the
No,
Green Bay
we
Packers
can't
and
listen.
Pittsburgh Steelers met in the Super Bowl?
I don't
come
remember.
on.
When was that? I don't remember.
You just blocked that from your memory?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so then let's start talking.
Two words. Clay Matthews.
Aaron Rodgers. What?
Hey, he served us well, and I'm sending good vibes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
I am a as now a Pittsburgh area
You are.
resident. I want to see the Steelers succeed because I want my friends to be happy, and I am rooting for one Pittsburgh QB to succeed, and his name is Will Howard.
Are you saying that as a Penn State
As
graduate?
a Penn State graduate who watched Will Howard light us up.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the Steelers got the biggest steal at a QB in the draft over Shador. Like, I
Yeah.
think Will Howard is going to be an excellent NFL QB for a long time.
I'm definitely excited to watch his career,
Yeah.
for sure.
By the way, if anybody's listening to this and they don't like football or sports, they just are going to probably skip over this episode.
That's not the
Yeah.
point of our
Yeah,
podcast.
we're not. There will be far more than football. I know everybody in the city of Pittsburgh probably knows who you are and what you do, but for those who may be listening in the Green Bay area and otherwise,
Oh, that's good.
tell us, Kent, a little bit about who you are, your family.
Yeah, man, Pittsburgh, born and raised, Beaver County. I'm a CMA boy.
Yes.
As you guys. So I grew
awesome.
up in that Beaver County area. Met Erica in college. We've been married now for over 26 years. We have 3 daughters.
Yeah.
Madeline just got married, so it's awesome to see them
Congratulations.
flying. And they stayed in Pittsburgh, so we're super excited
great.
about that. Kalea, she just launched her fun little photography, videography business, Kalea Creative. So
There we
love
go.
that. And Ainsley is going to be our senior in high school at Eden. So
I'm going to have to get some tips from you on how to raise 3 daughters.
you got 3 daughters?
3 daughters.
Oh, I love that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 23, 21, and almost 18. So
That's awesome.
I have 1. I can't imagine 3.
yeah, bro.
And I mean, it was just the joy over. I
yeah.
would be.
It's
this,
the life, man.
this is why I'm bald, and this is why I'm going gray, man. 3 daughters.
And they're taking donations now for their future weddings.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been saving for 30 years
Yeah,
for that, man.
that's awesome.
I do have a question just to start us off, if I may.
Oh, of course.
Kent, seriously, you're the chaplain for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How much do you wish you were the Packers chaplain? I'm just kidding. I actually have a real question. You've been in some prayer huddles with members of the team. I've seen videos of guys like Jameis Winston, just the most epic pregame prayers. Who gives the best pregame prayers in Pittsburgh?
Wow.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Every opportunity at a home game, I will assign it to different guys. And I'd be hard pressed to say who would be the best, at doing that. But man, I've heard some guys, like who have gone public with their faith in Christ, where they know how to pray. They're not afraid to pray in front of people. Because how many people listening to this are like, bro, I can't pray in public.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when you got thousands of people watching of that moment, and to watch some of these guys go, like an Alex Highsmith can let it rip, man.
Yeah. Okay,
Miles Killebrew can let it rip.
In all serious, though, who has the best winning record for pregame prayers? Do you track? Our goal is to make Kent really uncomfortable today.
I'm
get
curious,
as much Steeler insider information as we can.
I'm curious if Pro Football Reference tracks that, like pregame prayers to wins.
We can start.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, let me kick this off first because I've already been asked. We're like 2 episodes in. Did we name the podcast because of the Here We Go song? So real quick, we did not. We knew we were starting this podcast and we were wrestling with a bunch of different names. We certainly wanted to give a nod to the city of Pittsburgh. And Emma, one of our team here and staff members at ACAC, reminded me that you and I were bantering about something, probably music. Yep. And I just said, here we go. Like, here we go. Really? Come on. And Emma was like, that's it. That's what we need to name the podcast. And it did take you a little longer.
Yeah, I knew that it was, I think the last time the Steelers were in the Super Bowl when they were playing the Green Bay Packers, I heard that Here We Go song a lot.
Here we go.
All the time.
He brought it back.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Like, I heard that song over and over and over again because being a Pennsylvania native,
really?
I'm a PA native. Yeah, my dad didn't have any regional affinities, so he was a Bears fan and I was a jerk. So I became a Packers fan. But surrounded by a lot of Steelers fans. Okay. And so back when we played in the Super Bowl against each other, I heard a lot. I watched that game surrounded by Steelers fans. So I heard that song. So I had a little PTSD when it came to the song. So it took me a little while to get, but we kept coming up with other names and nothing really clicked. And I finally wandered out into like a creative meeting and just kind of sheepishly said, I think it's Here We Go. Like, yeah. I think that's the best name for this.
I love it, dude. It's a great name.
It is.
For a Pittsburgh-based podcast. Love it.
It is. It's good.
Well done.
It's good. So we're actually recording this. You just finished camp.
That's right.
So this isn't going to be released till a little bit later. We're probably already 2-3-0 in the season. So I don't know when we play the Packers, but I'm not a prophet, but I'm just saying. I'm guessing that's where we're at now. But you're just finishing camp.
Yeah. Can you tell in my eyes?
Sleeping in the dorm.
I slept in my own bed last night. It was fantastic. Yeah. Been in a dorm for almost a month.
Yeah. So again, we need insider information like who's looking good. What's your prediction on the season? I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm putting your job at jeopardy.
No, I love it. Yeah. I can tell you, man, the meals were great.
Were they?
Insider information. There you go.
Yeah.
The meals were fantastic.
Like, in all seriousness, though, because there's people listening to this, and, this is a city that is, you could say, religious about football, and we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
And so, they're reading everything and checking out reels, and anytime anybody makes a catch, DK makes that catch at training camp, and it's like, wow. Right. But so for you, what is the most significant about your time with the team at training camp?
Yeah, I've got like a love-hate relationship with training camp because I hate being away from Erica and the girls. So I'm up there for 3.5 weeks, staying in the dorms. I don't like sleeping in a dorm bed, but you cannot replicate the conversations that take place.
Yeah.
Coach T, every morning, he wants Bible study for the guys. And so to be able to have that kind of start to the day, I absolutely love the conversations that come out of those studies. And so I love being able to be available during training camp for those guys. I'm on the sidelines. I'm in the meal rooms, that kind of thing. And you just never know when those conversations are going to hit.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to ask a question, and they'll, all of a sudden you're just talking about spiritual things on the sideline or in the meal room. And so for me, it's all about building relationships with those guys.
Yeah.
No better way to do that than, we know this. Y'all just experienced life. And God changed my life at Life. 1995, bro.
That's awesome.
And if I'm not away from the hustle and bustle of my regular routine, where God can speak into my life, then my life doesn't become transformed. And the same is true for guys when they're away from the hustle and bustle of just life, that they can, they're going to be open to having those types of camaraderie building, team building, brotherhood conversations.
Yeah. So this is a just personal question. We could spend a whole episode talking about, I know your story, like you've preached your testimony here at ACAC. I think the first time I had you preach, thought you were a pastor here at a great church in Pittsburgh, Northway, and God called you, and it was a crazy journey about how you ended up with Athletes in Action and being the chaplain of the Steelers. But you're also from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this morning. You're a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
Like most people listening to this, if you're from Pittsburgh or me, growing up watching the Steelers doing that, and then you're there. So it's probably different than even most chaplains, because emotionally, and again, we could talk about that later, faith and sports, all that. But for you, it is molded together. So I'm just curious, how do you, just you're human, man. You're a fan. You love sports. I know you love the Steelers, but yet you're there to pastor. You're there to disciple. Right. How do you navigate that? And is it hard?
I would say the first week on the job was hard.
Okay.
Because I was fanboying out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got dudes that, are going to end up being, Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah.
In the room doing Bible studies and all that. I'm fanboying out.
Which was who? Go through your first year.
So my first year, you got the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Marquise Pounceys, you got all that offensive line, David DeCastro, Villanueva, and I'm just going, I've watched these guys.
Yeah.
When I was in college, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's them, right?
Yeah.
And then not to mention coaches, Hall of Fame coaches that are going to end up being, and they're right there. So I'm fanboying out a little bit that first week, but then you realize very quickly, just like in ministry, people are people. Mm-hmm. These guys happen to be extremely good at what they do to get to the point of the 1% of the 1% of the 1% to make it to the NFL, and then to perform at that level. But then you realize when you get a layer deeper with them and those conversations start to take place that you realize they're just dudes like you and me, same issues that you and I have. So to be able to pull back now and say okay, Pittsburgh boy, born and raised, I love and have bled Steelers football, to now see it as ministry in that space, man, I love being able to be a part of discipling young men, and Erica along with me, the young women that come with the men from all over the country, and really at this point all over the world, with the international influence that's going on. So we just started out as a fan, and now I'm going, okay, this is about discipleship.
I love the way that you put that a lot of these guys and their their wives, their girlfriends, they have the same types of issues that everybody else does. And I think that's an interesting thought for people that are listening who might not have a platform, might not be a pro athlete or have a platform of leadership. And so what are just to name them, what are some of the common spiritual questions people are coming to you with? You spent a couple weeks at camp. What does that look like? What are those questions?
Yeah, I'll give you one on the sidelines last year. This was during practice.
By the way, sorry, I'm interrupting here.
Sure.
If there's a little clanging that you hear, we didn't know that there was some fixing going on outside. So we're going to do our best. But if you're listening, it's just it is.
So one of the things that was asked last year on the sideline, and this is just the Coach T wanting to have a chaplain be available.
Okay.
You just never know when those questions are going to come. And there was a question from a young player, and it went like this. PK, do you really, they call me PK, Pastor Kent. PK, do you really believe that Jesus is the only way to get to heaven?
No, wait, this is on the sideline?
This is on the sideline.
In the middle of the game?
No, during practice.
Oh, during practice. Okay.
Yeah. You know, they're locked in during the game, but
Yeah.
you know, during that practice period, they have 10 minutes off while,
Yeah, gotcha.
you know, defense one might be out there, you know, that kind of thing. And it was a conversation about, bro, like, Jesus is the one who excludes himself from any other world religion leader.
Yeah.
You know, when he says, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life, he's the one who says, nah, bro, I ain't like them, and they're not like me.
Yeah.
And to have that kind of conversation that quickly on the sideline, those are the types of questions that come from deep spiritual questions like that to also things like, bro, where do I get a haircut in the city? Do you know, and they're asking me, which is hilarious, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, I don't do that anymore. But things like that, it's just life. And that, isn't that what discipleship is?
Yeah, I mean, there are things that we don't think about. You know, the church where Spencer and I pastor, as you know, we're like a stone's throw, football throw, if AR's throwing it, not Jordan Love, from Acrisure. I almost said Heinz Field. But, you know, these are most are not from the city, so they're navigating, moving here, finding a place to cut their hair, place to go to church if they're Christians. Yeah, we just, even as believers, we idolize, like, and elevate. And I was thinking about, too, like, why is that so intoxicating? Like whether it's football, whether it's music, why is fame, why is platform, this is a question I just want us to wrestle with, like, why is it so intoxicating?
I think because it feels good.
Yeah.
You get that, you know, whatever it's like on social media, you get the like, and you're like, that feels good. Like, bro, you liked my messaging, you liked my brand, you liked who I am. And ever since we've been in, you know, grade school or whatever, we realized that that's a driving force to, man, I feel good about myself if people like me. And then when you begin to rise to the level of these guys and you are a household name, you know, in Pittsburgh and beyond, my goodness, that can creep into identity. And so it feels good is one reason. So
yeah, I also think that there's like an interesting tension in something like football, especially in the NFL, because on one hand, to be successful as a team, you need to have like enough humility to actually be part of the team and not, you know, kind of do your own thing. But at the same time, the way that you get noticed, the way that you get exposure, you know, commercials, like, you know, marketing contracts, the way that you become a star, often is not just your play on the field. It's like your personality taking over.
Your brand.
And so there's that tension. Yes.
Right? You're explaining it.
Yeah, it's that tension of humility, and yet also like being a star, you're rewarded for kind of rising above everything else and being a star. And so like how do you speak into that for guys who are wrestling with that? Some of these guys are 22 years old, 21 years old, and they're coming in for the first time.
Right. Yeah, I think there's got to be specific ways that they combat that attention. What I would say as I'm on the sidelines my first season, to hear people during the games yelling the things that they're yelling from the stands, and I'm going, oh my, both positive and negative. But on the positive side, where it comes to their fame and like things like, we love you, Coach Tomlin, right? It's a sense of an adoration, what I would say in the language is we're worshiping them. You know, having, you know, players.
Pittsburgh never yells, "We hate you, Tomlin."
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're calling for his job, and he's anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me. Who else would you want to have coach?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, but hearing and seeing like, TJ, hold my baby, sign my baby.
That's crazy.
And this happens all across the NFL. So it's not just Steelers Nation. And so helping these guys understand you have to combat that somehow, some way, and teaching them things like secret serving, in community relations, which is wonderful. I love how the Steelers do community serving and all of this. One of the things that to combat you believing the hype is to secretly serve, where no cameras, no social media.
Not a publicity event.
Exactly. Where your heart is postured in such a way that you're doing this simply because I want to serve and I don't want anybody to know that it's me.
That's really good.
And that's just one way to be able to do that.
We actually got to receive some of that. There was a sports camp that was here earlier this summer, and the rookie class all came and showed up and just played with the kids and just got on the floor and were goofy with the kids, and it was really fun to see like some of these guys walking in who are just massive human beings. I think when Derek Harmon walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't usually feel small as a human being. But
did you wear your Packer hat?
I didn't know they were coming that day. It was it was a kind of a quiet. I would have. I would have greeted them at the door in full garb. But yeah, just to see them come and serve. Like I love the culture that the Steelers are trying to set for those athletes.
Yeah. And one of those things, that's a requirement.
Yeah.
So when you go a layer deeper and you start talking to these guys about, you got to be quick to get that worship off of you. We're not built for that kind of fame, for that kind of glory. You got to be quick. And one of the ways is to serve in secret so that nobody knows your name, anonymous, right? You're just going to serve, to bend the knee, right? That's one of those things.
Well, it's one of the things I've really respected as I've just watched you navigate this. That phrase, you're wearing the T-shirt, "Deflect the Glory," really is
because you told me to. I don't just
well, you
go
asked,
around.
You asked what to wear. I'm like, but that to me, from an outsider and knowing you, like that's defined, like that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but been the part of your discipleship. There is helping the team understand. Man is not worthy of praise. Right. We're not worthy of worship. We can't handle it. And how do you deflect that? So talk a little bit about that. Where Deflect the Glory come from, and what's that look like in the day-to-day life?
Yeah, so 2019, when I'm hearing this on the sidelines and what people are actually saying, "In Boz we trust," things like
Crazy.
that. And okay, I get it. It's a play on words and all of that. Not taking it too far down, but the idea of watching people literally lose their minds, control of their bodies when these guys are coming down the line of signing an autograph and we're like doing, that's worship.
Yeah.
Right. And so I recognized really quickly that these guys were being worshiped. It's one thing to be a fan, but then it's a whole nother level to do that. Right. And we've got to work on that as fans.
Yeah.
Right. But then also as players to be very quick when those kind of things for 3 hours, think about it in our settings of churches, right? For 1 hour, we worship God on a Sunday morning. For 3 hours and sometimes more in the parking lot and pregame, we are worshiping these men for 3+ hours. And so I had a chapel basically after I noticed this, and I said, guys, you got to be quick to be able to get that praise off of you.
Yeah.
To come out, and there's this massive moment that's across the NFL and really across professional sports where, it started, I think, in the NFL in the late 80s, early 90s. Meet me at the 50, come out and pray. Yeah. Huge moment in the NFL because guys risked it to bend a knee before their creator, to pray with the opponent together to show that, man, we're brothers in faith on this field. And so that was normal, if you will. So the post-game prayer, but then I went a little bit further with it and I said, guys, this is a great moment to grab a knee and grab a hand with the opposing players as brothers. But I think we need to start thinking about getting that worship off of you because you're not built for that. And so that's a moment that we began to call, Deflect the Glory. And it's not just for the players. right? This is a lifestyle that we need to be. It's a heart posture for all of us, where no matter how God has gifted you as a communicator, as a worship leader, as a, you name it, lawyer, whatever. Okay, God's given me the skills, the talents, the abilities to be able to do these things. That's the humility part, right? So I'm going to bend my knee before my Creator and say, thank you, God, for that. And then I'm going to deflect all of that praise, all of that glory back to God where it belongs. You're the one who gave me this opportunity. You're the one who gave me the skill, talent, and ability. And I want to show you in front of people who've been worshiping me, I'm going to worship you. And that's where Deflect the Glory came from.
Yeah, I love that. In our previous episode, you referenced my friend Zach.
I was going to bring that up.
He was part of the Asbury Outpouring, and he wrote a book called Lower, where they talk about this very idea. He calls it consecrated confidence.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so it's the idea of like, Lord, I want to give you all of the good things, like all of the things that have like kind of brought me attention. Like, I don't want to pretend I'm not good at what you've created me to do, but I want to give that back to you. I also want to give you the fears and the failures and all of the things that have not worked out the way that I thought, And so he just talks about how that has been such an important thing, because this, this moment at Asbury has kind of put him on global stages now. And the way that he's been able to wrestle with that in healthy ways in community is being able to give the Lord back. Like the things the attention that his gifts, the praise that his gifts have brought, but also then, the things that didn't go well. So like at the end I love that idea of just like deflecting the glory. And probably on the other side of that is also saying like, hey, when I missed that block or whatever, I give that back to you too, because I don't want to carry that pain with me either.
I texted you right after I listened. He did an interview on a different podcast, Zach Mearcreeves, and that idea of consecrated confidence, and what I had never thought about or heard before. He talks about his post-sermon routine. And so, we all have a pre-sermon routine, prayer and preparation, looking over your study notes and all that. So he said he started this after Asbury. The moment he walks off the platform after preaching, before he shakes a hand, before he goes back, and I may not get this completely right, but he goes through his sermon and says, Lord, I give you, that moment worked really well. Thank you. I give it to you. This moment didn't click and I failed, but I trust that you make me strong in my weakness. And it's almost this prayer like of giving, it's to deflect the moment, like at the 50-yard line. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And I love
and another thing, because you mentioned this, like after each game, nobody would see this because it's inside the locker room. So inside information, right? You can see that public prayer at the 50, and these are guys of faith that are out there. Inside the locker room, I love this about Coach T, is that he, win or lose, he always seals a game with a moment of prayer. And he asks me, would you do that? So in that moment, I'm like, nobody really, sans those guys that were in chapel the night before, nobody really wants to pray in that moment. But Coach T, his heart posture is, okay, thank you, Lord, for the win or for the loss. We're going to move forward now. And everybody bending a knee in that locker room. And I just think that it's a recognition of, man, we didn't get ourselves here. We're partnering with God to be able to have the platform and the opportunity that he's given to us.
That's awesome.
I'm going to put you on the spot. This whole thing's on the spot. And I know trust is like your currency. And so I'm not asking you to betray trust. But you are in a unique position to help us, and I will say us as believers who are sports fans, understand the dark side of over fandom / worship. Like you have even shared with me, and again, as much as you would like, a few years ago, just coaches on the team that were taking unnecessary heat. Like, help listeners understand when we give that worship, like, what does it do? Like, how are we, like, help us understand when we give I'm not talking about cheering. We all understand you can cheer, wear the jerseys, support all that. But when we cross that line, what does it do that people don't see?
That's a great question, man. And I would say for those guys who care about their posture, because there's some guys who will eat this up and they will leverage it. And they're smart businessmen. So, man, that's going to help them in their future to have fans who praise them and worship them.
Yeah.
Right? It's from a business standpoint, makes total sense. But the guys who are struggling with identity being what they do compared to who they are.
Yeah.
I love that Coach T always says, football is what you do, it's not who you are. And we would all kind of get that as, dude, if you're an accountant, okay, even just that, no, I do accounting, that's not who I am. Right? So when we are super fans and when we're just going out of our minds and all this, we got to help. We got to see that we're heaping that kind of identity crisis onto these guys. That, okay, so when somebody, a poor play, and somebody does something that we would think as fans, and we get on them via social media, it's twofold. Man, we are heaping all kinds of curses upon them. And then we're also, because we, how it goes, you point the finger and three are pointing back at you.
Right.
Like, bro, we've talked about how in the lane of like pastors in ministry who, bro, you're putting that out publicly, what you just said about that dude. And I'm just going, okay, we gotta
be real careful.
Exactly. Exactly. And so this idea of we type what it is that we just feel out without using our brains and our hearts as followers of Jesus to be able to filter all of that stuff to understand what we're actually doing to ourselves. We've become worshipers of men. Yeah. So we got to be careful with that kind of thing.
And the criticism is crazy. Like, I've talked about, I listen to podcasts, sports podcasts and all that. And I don't care. I'll bash it. 93.7 The Fan here in Pittsburgh. I just can't even listen to it anymore. Yeah. Like, it's just so exhausting. And I think what switched it for me was as a pastor and, leading a church if there was a talk show about my performance on Sunday morning or the worship team or the greeters or how the sermon went, I cannot imagine. And I'm going to throw you a softball here and give you a chance because this blew my mind. You had told me there was a point like a part of the Steelers organization didn't even feel comfortable going to church.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the criticism that they were taking from people. And like, that is unfathomable to me. So speak to that. Like, help people understand, especially believers, because there's going to be mostly Christians listening to this. Yeah. Like, speak to the Christian who's a Steeler fan, like, watch your tongue.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we hide behind our keyboards, we think it's appropriate. My question is, would you ever say that to that person's face? And if the answer is no, then why are you putting it on social media? Why are you talking about it at the water cooler? Yeah. That's just straight up gossip. And we don't take that seriously, today. But here's the thing, God takes it seriously. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? There's a story where one of the coaches received death threats from people that were in his own neighborhood, knew where he lived, people coming up and trick-or-treating with signs of, we're going to run you out of town. And just think about this. You're trying to be kind and in the community and handing out little treats. And a little kid has a sign stuck to his chest with a knife in it with your name on it. And the dad is out there on the street going, I'm like, I don't get that. But at the same time, if we're speaking specifically to a follower of Jesus, I don't know if that dude's a follower of Jesus or not. Yeah. So why would I expect him to behave accordingly to the Jesus standard, right? To use a Mike Tomlinism, right? The standard is the standard. And if I were to have a face-to-face conversation with a follower of Jesus, Jesus has a standard. Yeah. And this is included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? The water cooler conversation is included in that. And you got to understand that you're doing more damage to yourself by speaking that way, because he's never going to hear that.
Yeah.
He ain't. My advice to the players is, dude, get off of social media during the season. Just, you don't even want to go there, because people are idiots.
Yeah.
And they're going to say all this stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, and I think underneath all of that, ultimately, as believers, like, we're called to love our neighbors, and we're called to honor the dignity of other image bearers. And there's something about sports fandom that we kind of throw all that aside, because we just kind of get caught up in the fandom and the kind of the ruckus of whether we win or we lose. And just, I know that we get tied up, and it's fun to get excited about the games, but there comes a point where I think, just in maturity, like we got to stop caring about what guys are doing with balls on fields, so much that it shapes our very character to be less than Christ-like.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a fan, but like you said, you cross that line. And we have to be cognizant of the fact what's going on in our hearts, and also the damage that can be done, because we have another generation coming up behind us who's hearing us when we are saying whatever it is and we're throwing at the TV,
Yeah.
It's like, bro, you got to understand, this is just a game, right? These guys happen to be real people who are really good at a game. And I get to travel and preach to different churches, and one of the things that I've been trying to say at the very end after I preach my sermon is, hey, could you do me a favor? And the next time that these guys are on your television screen or on your phone, would you just pray for them?
Wow.
Because behind each and every guy is an entire family unit that is taking those kind of hits along with those players.
That's good.
And when you think about a guy who just up and gets traded, this is a ruthless business. A dude gets traded. What that means is his whole family is just flipped upside down.
Gone, yeah.
They got to figure out, okay, now I got to move to a whole new city. Do I keep my kid in school here now because they've got a whole bunch of friends, and I'm not going to rip them away from all those friends simply because my husband just got traded or cut or whatever to this team. So I think it would help, especially the culture spiritually in our hearts and also in Pittsburgh, if we were to just simply, when those guys are on our screen, hey, just say a little prayer for them.
That's good. Yeah.
It's a different perspective.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So just shift gears for a second, because you're not just chaplain of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've been a pastor, like I said, here at Great Church, Northway, and you've been in ministry. How does this, do you see this in church world? Platforming. Let's talk about that. Because we're talking about this, and I think of it in, celebrity, pastor, and that even phrase has just become okay, what does that mean? Right. At what point you're a celebrity pastor? You're just in the church circles, because we did, like you mentioned it earlier, and even on our last podcast, the last episode, we were talking about what do you do with the history of ministry when somebody has fallen? Does it disqualify that? And just influence, because you see it in Christian circles and the fandom and even the worship of other pastors in ministry. You have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on it, man, because it's real. And for every one celebrity pastor, there's 100, 200, 1,000 that are doing the hard work of the ministry who will never get noticed. And my guess is that when they get to heaven, they're gonna their crown's gonna be bigger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that reward that we're receiving here, is all the reward that we're gonna get.
Yeah.
So I think about, because when you first started saying that, I just started thinking about this concept of worship concerts. Yeah, so just think about that.
You have two former worship guys.
Yeah,
here, so.
and I led worship for years and absolutely love it. I struggle.
Yeah.
I love it, but then I struggle with the rising celebrity culture of what started as a worship leader, and you had one song that killed it, and now it's CCM or however that works is helping you elevate, and I just struggle with the way that we can worship those people for how they're worshiping, and we begin to compare our worship to their ticket sales, and it's a dangerous slope. We have turned what worship truly is into, man, they're selling out coliseums and stadiums, and
is it bad? I'm putting you on the spot.
that's what I'm just going.
Is that what?
Could it be bad for the worship leader and the band and that whole process? Yes.
Yeah.
Because, man, I'm here. And then you see guys who are doing their best to deflect that glory, to use this phrase, to get on their knees in front, and they make it about Jesus. But we just spent, I don't know, $85 to $100 on a worship concert. And then I struggle with the fact of, okay, man, we got a lot of people that need ministry. They need a hot meal. They need you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just scratched the surface of this in our last podcast conversation. We didn't end up going there, but I think I legitimately wrestle with this idea of like worship-tainment. Like it's because like, it's awesome to be in an arena full of people and singing songs that give glory to God. Like, that's powerful. Yeah. We just did that at Life Conferences, 6,000 people in the room, and it was powerful to have a full room and the full production and have a really excellent, like, worship team leading us and just everyone in the moment, just really praising God. And I believe God was being praised in that moment. But there's a culture around that leads to idolization, that begins to lead to comparison, that leads to people chasing kind of worship highs that can only be attained at the highest levels of production and excellence, that they find increasingly hard to connect to the local church because of it. Same thing happens with like kind of your celebrity pastor influencers, like the top 1% of communicators. Everybody's judging their local pastor based on the sermon they can download, and so those things really put pressure on, what is the church? What is worship? Like, what is preaching? All of those things. And that's something that's like never really happened before in the history of the world, right? There were traveling preachers who were excellent, right? There were famous musicians who were excellent, but the masses didn't have access to that the way that we do today. Right. And I think that is doing something in our formation.
But then
as
at the
people
same
of God.
time, because I agree, but then if I wrestle, because I don't know if y'all just saw like Forrest Frank. The brother broke his back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. He's in his, I don't know if it's his hospital bed or whatever, and he's still creating music, and he creates this song that is just like, oh my goodness, God, what is it? Lemonade.
Yeah, and
God's turning lemons into lemonade, and
he was healed.
Yeah, he was healed. Like his back was legitimately healed. He's showing the X-rays, and I want to celebrate that. Yeah. God did that for him, and I love the fact that he is legitimately saying God did this, and at the same time his fame is increasing.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wrestle there with him, but I also love it. Here's another thing. if I can turn the corner of something that I'm really struggling with, that I'm seeing happen in Pittsburgh and really across the nation. And you can only tell through social media what social media is telling you and the algorithms and all this stuff. But the idea of revival, right? And I have been struggling with the fact that good marketing, I think I even said this earlier, good marketing doesn't equal revival. And we've got to be careful that we just say, hey, revival is happening. And then we just market the mess and we make the camera angles look like there's, however many people in the room and
15-second clip.
Yeah. And I'm just going, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going, yes, we need revival.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that it looks like that.
Yeah.
And struggling with there should be a secret, almost under the sanctuary prayer movement. Nobody knows that's happening. That's revival.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because we referenced Zach Mearcribs earlier, but like one of the things that he's talked about Asbury is like everybody involved with Asbury from like a leadership shepherding kind of stewarding level all really tried to deflect. Like they didn't want to call it revival. They called it an outpouring. They didn't even call it an awakening. They were like really conscious. They were like, we don't feel like we have the right yet to call this revival because we haven't really seen the fruit.
Right.
Like if the fruit comes, people will look back and say this was the start of a revival or this was an outpouring that contributed to revival. But I just love that posture of like one of the most like powerful and profound things that have happened in our country regarding like the worship of God, encounter with God in the last couple of years. Like the folks that were stewarding that were deflecting the glory. They were like, this is what God's doing. We don't want to put our name on it. We don't want to like try to control it.
Right.
And we don't want to try to promote it. Other people did,
right.
But they really just wanted to keep it, let's be faithful to what's happening right here. And I do agree with you. Like there's almost like this kind of revival influencer culture that's happening that I think can give people kind of a false sense of what revival is and what we're actually after when it comes to encounter with God. Because we don't want to chase revival. We want to move with the Spirit, but like we don't want to be chasing kind of the idea of revival to the point that we're not actually being motivated by God's heart.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on it. I do think the mass communication and the access of the internet and social media and clips has just elevated all of this. Yeah. Just as a pastor, I do think the good side of this is, you mentioned, everybody has access to the greatest preaching ever.
Yeah.
And the good side of it, it has required pastors to step up their communication game. Yeah. My dad, he may listen to this. I tease him all the time. So he was a pastor's kid, Newcastle, and we had Sunday morning service, Sunday night service, Wednesday night service. They're preaching like an hour. I'm like, your sermons were crap. Like, there's no way you preach 3 good sermons a week. I'm like, I know how hard. And I'm teasing, but like in that sense, like people have, they have the greatest Bible teachers accessible. So on the one side, and same's true with worship.
Yep.
I think it's a very good thing that we develop our skill and we become better at it. But because everybody sees that and has the excellence of it, it's just we live in that tension. And I was thinking, it's nothing new, the praise of men.
Right.
Saul got upset because the crowds were yelling, Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his tens of thousands. Right. It's like it always is increasing. But like for me, I'm reminded, the wisdom writer talked about guarding your heart because everything flows from your heart. I use the phrase, guard your heart, for it determines the condition of your life. And the scripture talks about David, despite his flaws, was a man after God's own heart. So, and I think that's what you're saying with the Deflect the Glory, that God certainly has gifted people with a platform. And I don't think the platform in itself is the problem. I think it's great to ask these questions. We should be asking them, what's the validity of $100 worship concert tickets and traveling and book deals and all of those things? Are they the problem in and of itself? No. But when that happens, and I think we've mentioned Zach is wrestling this, like, how do I guard my heart?
Yeah.
How do I really protect my heart in a way that I'm not headed towards that path of destruction?
I think just when in a world where there's unlimited access to knowledge, it's about teaching people to move with wisdom, right? In a world where there's unlimited access to experiences that are that are excellent, like how do we help guide people to seek encounter with God? And so it's not just like we have access to all these things and it's good, but like how do we actually become discerning about how we steward all of these things that we have available to us?
One of the things that, even as you were describing it, and I agree with what you are saying, but it stuck out to me that you said the greatest Bible teachers accessible, and I'm just going to go,
Are they the greatest?
Are they the greatest?
Fair point.
Or do they have the greatest marketing and the greatest production teams and the greatest budgets to be able to be that accessible? Right?
Yeah.
To be able to get to that point where YouVersion goes, oh, that's a guy that we need to get in here. I'm not slamming YouVersion. I use it every day. But the idea of, I think some of the greatest Bible preachers will never cross the face of our phones, and they are faithful to the text more than we could ever be, because they've been living it out every day in villages that are unreached.
Yeah.
And they have nothing but the text to be able to minister. And
That's really
those greatest teachers will never know their name until we see the line in heaven of that they've brought into heaven as a result of them being faithful. Instead of worrying about, and I'll get a little fired up here, instead of worrying about, here's the timing of our sermon, don't go over. If you go over, we're going to cut your paycheck.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking from experience. That is a buddy's real story in Pittsburgh. And I'm just going, what are we doing?
Guest preaching.
No. The idea of in his church that he is held accountable by a paycheck being cut if you go over this time allotted. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, wow. We've lost our way with that.
And so I just think, we've got to, in our circles of influence, be able to, okay, it's not about that, bro. It is not about that whatsoever. I love in the Steelers context, like this is good for my ego, because I struggle with this, just to be really honest. I struggle with, okay, God, I do want my name to mean something for the kingdom. I do want my girls to be proud of our name. It's a good thing in the sense of like we're doing stuff that is moving the meter. But what I love at the Steelers, this is like good for my ego. They don't even, some of them don't even know my name. PK.
Wow.
I get KP. I get it's the guys that I'm close to and discipling and all that. They don't even they know my name, but like as I pass guys in the hall, they're like, "Is your name Phil?" Like PK, like with Pastor Kent, but they're like Phil, Patrick. They're trying to figure it out. They don't know my name. It's really good for me to be under that radar and flying under that radar, because there's a sense of which I think we all struggle. I mean, very influential church in Pittsburgh, simply because I'm the Steelers chaplain, man, there is a danger that I can begin to believe the praise that comes my way. Yep. And Jarrell Gilliam, I love this, Light of Life Rescue Mission. He said, don't let the praise of men go to your head, and don't let their criticism go to your heart.
Yeah,
and
that's really good.
We got to be careful.
All of us live in that tension, and we understand. You're on social media, and it's not a bad thing for you to post reels, and there is an essence of marketing, and some are going to be offended by even me even saying that word, and I understand the spirit of marketing. That's not it, but there is a reality to communicating and posting, and that in and of itself is not evil. But living, it's living in that tension. And I think where I've really appreciated both of you guys, different worlds, but as friendships, we've had private conversations, and there are guys in my life like you that I know would say, hey, what are you doing? You've crossed the line. Or there are guys that I have asked, hey, I just asked am I moving into self-promotion instead of, and you have to have people in your life that can say, yeah, you have. Why are you doing this? People who know you, the real you, and can be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think that we see, when the Apostle Paul is teaching the church, he doesn't say, go be fruitful. He says, be faithful, right? Keep in step with the Spirit. like be faithful with the Spirit. Like the fruit will come out of that. And I think early in my life as a leader, as a minister, when I was doing music and I was traveling a lot, like I was like chasing fruitfulness because like I thought that's what mattered. And the problem is when you chase fruitfulness, you don't always get faithfulness. But when you pursue faithfulness with the Lord, like you always get fruitfulness, whatever that looks like.
You need to preach that. Like we need to set that. That's a good message.
Whenever you let me in the pulpit, man.
Oh, come on.
That's awesome. Whenever you let me in there.
You're like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You know, on that, I did think of this. That reminded me of something. Like one of the things in the church world, I'll get. This is going to be ACAC specific. So I have wrestled with this, only being a lead pastor for 6 years and coming up, and I think some of this is generational. But and some listening to this, like I have received some criticism here because I only preach like 31, 33 weekends a year, and there are some. All of us grew up where the lead pastor preached 50 weekends a year, you know, or 48. And there are some like, you need to be in the pulpit more. You need the pulpit more. Same with worship, even leading worship. I think this is where the church has made a huge mistake through the years of it's unintentional, but we have made the lead pastor the personality or made the lead worship leader the personality. If they're the only one preaching, they're the only one leading. And it's not a neglecting of my responsibility as being the main communicator, but I purposely do step back because like right now I'm on a break. I'm away for 4 weeks. Spencer's running the show. I'm not there. I think that's healthy not only for me because I need the break. It's healthy for our church. Because anytime, you know, if the worship leader all of a sudden he's not there, if worship can't happen because he's not there, that's a problem.
Right.
If the church can't function because I'm not here, then that's a problem. And so I think it's a great, and I have seen that shift. And, you know, our friends here in Pittsburgh who are pastors, I know they do that. And I think that's been a healthy shift.
Absolutely. The team teaching model.
Yeah.
You know, I was a part of that at Northway.
Yeah.
And so grateful for not only discipleship development, leadership development, to be able to fail forward and to have the lead pastor saying, okay, you could have done this section better. And so I think we have to do things like this to bring young leaders to that point of, I'll put it this way, pee in their pants kind of moment because they're relying on the Lord, not their gifting.
Yeah.
Their talent and skill. It's okay, this is a stretch opportunity for me, and we've got to teach the church that this is what raising up new leaders looks like, to the point where in Steelers, in Bible study at training camp, I love watching these men that they pee in their pants kind of moment where they're like, bro, I don't know how to lead Bible study. And I'm like, you're going to do it because you're ready.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And your football voice is loud and your faith voice needs to get louder.
That's good.
And so the same is true for, we got to constantly bring guys, you know, ladies along with us to be able to say, no, you're going to co-lead with me now. And then the next time it's all you.
Yeah.
It'll stretch them to a point where, okay, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
You know, then teaching points where you can come alongside and say, all right, bro, we need to fix some things, but this was awesome and well done.
Yeah.
If I don't have Jay Passavant, Scott Stevens, who are allowing me to fail forward in those moments, like I'm just so grateful that they would take a shot on me to be able to
We've all had that,
sharpen that. In communication and, you know, going way back, John Guest giving me an opportunity to have those kind of stretch opportunities. So grateful. If I don't get those, I don't know how I'm growing in my leadership.
So, you know, most of the people listening or watching to this, they're not athletes, they're not pastors. How do they deflect the glory in their day-to-day life?
That's good.
The accountant, the teacher, the business owner, what does deflect the glory in their day-to-day life look like?
So the way I kind of describe this is a posture. It is a constant posture of, this is not about me. This is about God and other people. You know, it's the summer's best 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
man.
God first, others second, I'm third.
Yeah.
And if we all just lived that way with whatever vocation God has called us to live, to work in, man, if I'm not an accountant, I am going to do this job with an audience of one in mind. And I'm going to do everything I can to make my team better, to set them up to succeed, whatever that means in the school or, you know, the locker room or what. So I'm living my life in such a way where I am, as Paul says, man, I'm going to care about others more than I care about myself. Doesn't mean I don't care about myself, but I'm going to do unto others, as Jesus said, what I wish that they would do for me. If we're all doing that kind of stuff, the tide rises. And so I think, you know, a school teacher, what does it mean to actually love that kid who's in a lot of trouble?
That's good.
How do you help that kid raise up? How do you challenge them and push them and all of that? And if that kid becomes a success, you're going, I partnered with God with the passion that he put inside of me to teach kids, and I saw this kid become successful, whatever that means, you know. And so it's a posture. And I think all of us can do that.
Yeah.
You know, as pastors, we can say when we get off and we get those accolades and we get the text or whatever, I think it's a recognition of praise God.
That's good.
Man, and yeah, I'm gifted to communicate.
Yeah.
And that, you know, to your point, like, I don't want to downplay that. I like how Coach T talks about athletic arrogance with true humility.
Ah.
You're the best of the best. Right? But
Go do it.
yeah. But carry yourself in such a way that this is actually about your team.
Yeah.
I love that.
Not
That's
you.
good. That's really good.
So, yeah.
So we asked, kind of wrapping things up here, I asked Spencer, and when we have a guest, what's in your headphones? And give me a guilty pleasure and then a serious one. It could be music, it could be podcast, it could be book. What's in your headphones?
What's in my headphones? So so I just started watching Wednesday
Oh, yeah. My kids love it.
on Netflix. Yeah. And dude, I'm like, so guilty pleasure. I'm like, okay, it's a little bit like cartoonish meets gore. That's a
Is
wrong
it
way
a
to put
remake
it.
of the Addams Family?
Kind of,
It's
yeah.
a spin-off of
It
it.
is a spin-off, okay.
Yeah, and it focuses in on the daughter, Wednesday,
Okay.
and these abilities that she has and how she's handling that at school. So that's
Kind of in the
one.
vein of like a Stranger Things or some of these shows that
Gotcha.
kind of like goofy, but a little bit horror. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, and I what's weird is I do young adult ministry,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to always be up with
Stay relevant.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually like it. So I feel weird even just saying that. My
Yeah,
daughters
that's good.
are watching, and I'm just going, all right, yeah, I actually kind of like this kind of stuff. But yeah, dude, I wanted to make sure because you asked me this question, like, what do you,
Yeah, what are you
like,
listening
what are
to?
you reading? What are you listening? I'm reading a book that I think would be really important for listeners. It's called The Away Game.
Oh.
And it's written by Brian Smith and Ed Yasinski of Athletes in Action. And not to bring up Athletes in Action, but this book is crucial. And it's talking about how we have an entire generation. This is not new, but the tagline of the book is essentially, what does a Christian parent's take on travel sports?
Oh, wow.
How do we do this? Right?
We need to have you back for another episode just on that topic.
Dude, and
get
this
those guys
book,
in.
As I'm reading it,
The Away Game.
and I know these guys,
That's good.
their voice into travel sports and just sports in general, these guys are researched, 30 years of experience, 50 combined, of watching what they would call sport formation in our culture versus spiritual formation. And it's not, so don't hear this, it's not a book that's bashing sports culture, because these guys have been in sports their entire life.
Yeah.
But they're saying, what does a Christian parent do in the midst of what the culture is championing? How do we kind of win this away game that's causing us to be away from the local church context that gathers on the weekends? How do we practices all the time? It's causing us to miss small groups.
Yeah.
So what are we doing as Christian parents?
Spending thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah. You and I both, our families have experienced.
Exactly. And
I wish we would have had that book.
And how do we fight
Great.
back to this? So I'm reading it currently. Just came out like
Okay.
3 weeks ago.
Where can they find that book?
Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
Away Game. The
Yeah.
Away Game, I believe is.
Yeah.
So it's Away Game. Brian Smith, Ed Usinski.
Okay.
So incredible book. It's been something that I'm like, this is going to help so many parents.
That's awesome.
So huge book that's in my ears right now.
Well, hey, not to give you praise or elevate your platform, but how can people find you? How can they find you online or like connect with you?
Yeah, bro. I'm on social media.
Yeah.
Because, my daughters are there.
Okay.
Young adult ministry is there.
Yeah.
On social media. So, Ken Chevalier, whatever thing you're on.
And you have a website though too.
I do.
You do a lot of-
KenChevalier.com.
Okay.
Erica and I, Team Chevalier. We call ourselves Team Chevalier because we're a good team together.
I love that.
So TeamChevalier.com is
Man, just really grateful. Not just for your ministry, but you've been a dear friend. Really supportive to me.
Thank you.
And I
Yeah.
just really
I
appreciate
think
it.
our wives are getting together this week too.
I think I saw that. Yeah, that's right.
Love it.
Yeah, and I just say I'm really encouraged. This is our first time meeting, and you were one of the first people that reached out to me when I came on staff with Alan on Instagram, I think. But just encouraged by your faithfulness, and I will be emotionally supporting the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, except for Week 8 when the Green Bay Packers come to town.
It's funny. I feel led to close with us singing a hymn together.
Here we go,
Steelers. Here we go. Here we go. Please, everyone, turn to your hymnal, the page. Blasphemous.
I love it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thanks for
thanks,
having me on, you guys. Keep going.